The last week or so has been pretty garlic-centric in our life. We grow a whole bunch for seed. We'll share notes on when we're ready to offer that seed again for this year. We've got some lovely friends helping us today. Just made a video talking about what we use as far as measuring that it's time to harvest garlic. Check that video out if you're interested in seeing that process. What I want to talk about in this video is the concept of integrating nursery work with garlic production. In other words, growing garlic along with tree crops and what that can look like. I think we've done it enough times now to share some notes on what works, what doesn't for us. And maybe it's food for thought for folks that want to both grow more trees from seed and more garlic for profit or for home use or what have you. So I'll explain in more detail. Stick around. So let me explain what I mean by this. I really wish I had documented this more in the fall, but it was not in the cards, and so be it. If you look in front of me here, we've got a couple blocks of garlic. By all accounts, it's straightforward. We've got hardneck garlic, we've got elephant garlic. They're in straight rows. But there's more to this. The day of planting of the hardneck, the elephant garlic, this all happened on a couple different days, but when, for example, we planted the elephant garlic, what we did was planted a second row of elephant garlic, and then moved to an entirely different species. We planted apricot and apricot. We actually put in a lot more seeds. We lost a fair amount of the seeds. I'll explain in more detail how that happened. But there's a row or two of garlic and then a row or two of crop. This bed's not that strong. Let me show you another one that was much stronger. Here's some garlic that remains to be harvested, which we plan to do today or pretty soon. We've got hardneck garlic on standard spacing, roughly 6 inches, and then a row of hazelnuts. These were all planted on the same day. And in and amongst the garlic is a hazelnut all over the place. Tons and tons of little hazelnuts that can grow for a season and be dug up this fall as bare root plants for sale or for planting or what have you. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them throughout. Then there's 2 more rows of garlic and then a row of chestnut. Now, if we go where our friend Andrew and I were harvesting yesterday to the garlic that came out, you can see the pattern revealed. There was garlic, a few rows, hazelnut, garlic, and chestnut. We used the tops of the garlic as we trimmed them in the field now to mulch around these young trees to hopefully continue to protect them from rabbits and deer. But while the garlic is growing and these trees are inside of this forest of garlic, a few things happen. During the winter months, the garlic is extremely repulsive to most little ground-dwelling creatures, mice and voles. So if you don't have strong mouse and vole populations, the garlic should be able to work almost 100% in keeping them off. In the spring, the garlic comes up well before the trees and acts as a repellent fence for both deer and rabbits. Now that the garlic is out, they're a little bit exposed. We'll have to deal with that until we get to the fall. But it is a really nice system for getting things going. We learned the hard way a couple years ago. We tried this very close to a forest line. So for example, if we were doing a field production right up against those trees there, this may or may not work because squirrels and chipmunks feel extremely comfortable that close to the tree line and may venture in, push past the garlic and get the seeds anyway. So if you're near the woods, this may not be applicable to you. If you're in an open field context, this may work extremely well. What I wouldn't encourage is to commit 100% of all the seeds you've collected to this sort of pattern. But we had an overabundance of hazelnut and English walnut and chestnut and oak and hickory. And we did this planting this fall, in fall of 2021 and in this fall of 2022. If things line up, we should have an amazing number of trees to work with, along with the harvest of our garlic. Here's elephant garlic that is intercropped with rows of Japanese walnut, working quite nicely. Voles got into here and certainly ate some of the Japanese walnuts. I would say maybe 50% of what we planted, but there are many that remain. These trees, as long as they don't get browsed down the rest of the summer, may be able to get 2 to 3 feet tall and be ready to plant out in the open. But in the meantime, our elephant garlic also is going to give us a lovely yield, and nobody seems unhappy for this combination. Here's a bed with garlic and hickory seedlings. The hickories were hit pretty hard by voles. I think in this case, we had very, very deep hay mulch, and the voles were able to find comfort because the garlic spacing was much more generous. We thought, let's give more generous spacing to the hickory, but that meant less protection near the row of hickory seeds, and the voles found a bunch of them. But even with that loss, you can see little baby hickories all throughout. Nice little cluster there. Maybe the voles rearranged them. There's probably going to be at least 100 or 200 that come out of this field, even with that failure, quote unquote. This bed had soft neck on either side as of last week, and these are hickories through the middle, and they are now the canopy for this. The soft neck was pulled, and immediately the soil around it was sown to kale. It's too dry for them to do really well, but a couple may grow here anyway, we'll see. But right now the hickory gets to be the canopy until the fall, and that worked out pretty nicely as well. Elephant garlic with apricots on the north middle of the bed, and English walnuts on the south middle of the bed. Very functional, lots of English walnuts through there. Less apricots, but there's at least 50 or so in this bed. This was hardneck yesterday with the same pattern of a row of apricots and a row of English walnuts. The hardneck is out, and you can see the trees have worked really nicely. You get the idea. There are more examples of this in the field, but I think I don't need to show them over and over again. Strong encouragement if you can collect an abundance of seeds in the fall. Maybe there's some great oaks where you are, or you can get chestnuts at a reasonable price or for free, or there's wild hazelnuts, and you have intention of growing fall planted alliums. Consider the integration of the alliums as the exterior, the interior, and then your tree crops interspersed throughout. It has been very functional for us in an open field context. Mulch ideally would be wood chips. Hay promotes voles in the winter. We have definitely seen that, but even with all the voles, we still have lots of trees. If you are in an open field with lots of wood chips and you're growing garlic, grow trees in and amongst. Thanks for watching. Hope this is helpful.